Welcome to another edition of The Fan Perspective. I am your host, Nathan Nile. Week 7 was a very exciting one in the NFL, and the Ravens look so much worse than I thought, as Houston completely dominated the game. I knew they'd struggle, but I figured they'd at least fight. Now, this next month is going to be a tough one for the Ravens unless Flacco suddenly turns into Rodgers. Now, he had said at the beginning of the season that he wanted the offense to carry the team rather than like the defense had been. But it hasn't really turned out that well, which is kind of disappointing, seeing as how they've got such weapons like Rice and Terry Smith and Anquan Bolden. But good news for the Ravens, Terrell Suggs returned to action and even had a sack. And I think it'll still take a little bit of time, like maybe another month or so, before he fully returns to form and this defense starts getting back on track. But honestly, that's still not going to be enough, because while Ray Lewis is the only one that anybody's talking about, and rightly so, he is a Hall of Famer, he's going to be missed as a leader, but Ladarius Webb's injury is actually going to have a bigger impact on the field, because the NFL is a passing league, and they're going to be going up against Ben Roethlisberger and A.J. Green, and they're going to have to face these tremendous passing threats without their number one cornerback. That is going to affect them down the stretch. That's going to make it even harder for them to gain a lead and maintain it. And I went 10-3 this week with my predictions, and it's very easy to tell you why I got those 3 games wrong. First, it's always a risk anytime you choose the Browns to win a game. I would like to point out that Trent Richardson was fighting through a rib injury and was pulled out of the game because he was being ineffective. He was struggling through it. If he was 100%, he would have toppled the Colts' weak run defense, and the Browns would have easily took this game. And with the Saints, well, honestly, I forgot that Joe Vitt was coming back. Emotions can play a tremendous role in a team's ability to pull themselves out of tough situations. And my bad, I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have. The Giants, well, they were the favorites to win the game anyways. I just felt like taking a risk and saying the Redskins. I felt like maybe they could surprise us, and honestly, RG3 was sensational. He made JPP his bitch. And, they almost won, but then at the very end of the game, Eli Manning was Eli Manning, and Victor Cruz was Victor Cruz. And the Cowboys and the Patriots actually looked better last week when they lost than they did this week when they won. The Cowboys offense looked like shit, and the Patriots defense gave up a huge lead, and both teams barely managed to come away with wins. The Cowboys, though, they're at least justified, because DeMarco Murray was out, and now Felix Jones, he's playing banged up, and it looks like there's a possibility that the third-string halfback Tanner could end up starting next week. There could also be some sort of 3-back system. Felix might not have to miss. Murray might come back. It's all up in the air right now, though. The biggest thing, though, is that Phil Costa, their starting center, is injured once again. He just came back, and now he's hurt and out again. And you saw how shitty the O-line played when they didn't have him, in the lineup. And basically, the running game was actually affected even more. With Phil Costa out, we could never get the run game established, which is what hurt the passing game, which is why you have those 5 interception games. It's going to be a costly injury. And the Jaguars, though, they lost not only the game, but they also lost Blaine Gabbert and Maurice Jones-Drew. And Gabbert, he might not miss that much time. He could start this week even. MJD has already been rolled out for next week's game. And there's a potential that it could be a season-ending injury. I didn't see any reports on it yesterday. I haven't had the chance to check this morning. But when I do my predictions for next week, I'll make sure to update you on his status. And Trent Richardson, I mentioned earlier, he was already playing hurt, and it looks like it'll still be at least a little bit longer before he's actually 100%. Nate Burleson, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, he's going to miss the rest of the season with a broken leg. And he's known as a leader in that locker room. He's a 10-year veteran, which you need guys like that on a team as young as the Lions. And though none of these injuries are going to be quite as effective, all of these injuries are going to be very effective, but they might not quite have the impact as Charles Woodson, who's expected to miss at least a month, maybe two, with a broken collarbone, similar to how he broke his collarbone in the Super Bowl when they won it. He was a Defensive Player of the Year, and defense has been the Packers' weakness. And Aaron Rodgers, while he's capable of throwing 6 touchdowns against even the best defenses, it won't matter if the defense is giving up 7 touchdowns a game. So this could end up affecting their playoff chances, especially when you consider some of the offenses that they'll have to face later in the season. Don't throw their season out the window yet. They're still a great team. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers is capable of throwing 6 touchdowns against some of the best defenses, but it could end up affecting them long term. And I was 10-3 this week. My overall record is 64-41. And Thursday night game, we have the Buccaneers at the Vikings. And the Buccaneers have made some big offseason moves, but lack of chemistry and a rookie head coach, and I doubt they'll do I doubt they'll do any better this year than they did last season. They have the potential to turn into a dangerous team in the coming years, but for this season, they really don't look that tough. Meanwhile, Christian Ponder did not throw an interception in the first 4 games to start the season. He's not playing as well right now, but Adrian Peterson continues to elevate his playmaking. Not to mention that the Vikings have played extremely well on special teams and defense, and I think I just have to go with purple for the win. That's it. Tune in. Stay tuned in. I'll immediately after this video, I'll upload fantasy football for week 7. Friday and Saturday predictions for week 8, and fantasy football on Sunday mornings. This has been the Fan Perspective. I am your host, Nathan Lyle. Happy Tuesdays.